Yeah, I'm sick and tired of this nonsense. Fight the darkness while liquidly wrestling with my conscience. You wanna battle with the most lit? Gotta admit it was kinda scary, Bloody Mary, but no one's hits. Look at you, sadder than a fake tear. While I'm better than 88 tears, homie, better stay clear. Ruler excluding any place here. All I gotta do is put juice in it, use any race fear. Inside, I'll ignite the lightning when we fight tonight. Everything's fine, divine energy. Who's better get used to? Who's better? See moves that'll take out your future. Who's Kessler? I'm activated, you're overrated. My conduit made it so that I'm greater than any bidder. From Penn Station or any nation, your conversation is wasted. Place him on a table and take him back to the basement. I'll break you on my own. My thoughts lead to bad decisions, and it's taking a toll. It's just me, and I'll do just fine alone. I may be someone somewhere between darkness and light. My conscience divided, lights a spark in my eyes to come clean. Tell me who can right my wrongs. Maybe someone somewhere. What else you got? I turn six spots to great blocks. Vicious, I pick up a victim to fight as a cakewalk. The bad guy with black light, take a block off cold. Don't your powers and do a blackout. Yeah, it's loose, I'm getting loose. Configuring my moves, I'm taking these calls and ripping the biggest I do is taking your ligaments. Put them in a predicament, nothing but critical mass. I'ma consume in a bit. Who cares about a race fear? Just took a little foul to turn me to a monster that stays fear. Watch out, cause when I'm on a raft, I'ma take them and graph and turn them to a DRC skin graph. Hammers with fists, landing with quick hits. Man-handed, you talk a big game till your lips split. It's good a beast and it's time to feast. Good a evil, I make conduits in the streets. I'll break you on my own. My thoughts lead to bad decisions, and it's taking a toll. It's just me, and I'll do just fine alone. I'm hanging low somewhere between darkness and light.
up. Oh, we live. Let's go.
Yep.
Hello, and welcome to Fan Battle Cast.
Hello, everyone.
We discuss the matchups that you pitch to the Death Battle team. My name is Paul, and I am here with my co-host Rand and our host streamer Crojet, for we are debating Dr. Neo Cortex versus Specter from Ape Escape today.
Let's go.
Greetings. Let's go.
Today I
Hello,
have
and-
with me. Today I have with me our jury Mojo
Hey, it's me.
and Riddles.
They just told me that there was an old man fighting a monkey, and I just wanted to see what happened.
Okay.
We really
so-
appreciate you coming in. We had
Yeah.
a third member, Molak, who is having internet troubles. They may get in here later today. We will see. Rand will be debating for Neo Cortex today, and I will be debating for Specter. Rand, would you like to go first?
I like to let my co-host go first.
Well, that's very generous. So I guess we will. In spite of the normal setting where we have 60 seconds to describe the character and how they will win, I actually put together a little video introducing Specter to everyone. So,
Oh, boy.
Projet, if you could pull up Specter's intro video for us. Fan Battlecast. Dr. Neo Cortex versus Specter. Begin! Well, hello, FBC. I'm Specter, the Monkey Master, here to kick some butt against the scientist disaster. Cortex, you're a mess. You can't match up to my troops. I'll smash you into pieces and stir up a moron soup. With you, fighting animals never goes well, so I'll tear that N off your forehead and hand you the L. I outstat you, that's a fact, like the cap on my head. Going up against my mechs, you're better off dead. My Saru 03 and split the planet to bits. Not a bit of your technology stacks up to my wits. I'm faster and stronger, I've got my mind on victory. While you lost so many times, they retconned your history. You can't even beat your Bandicoot, and he's completely bonkers. They'll call me the king after you've been conquered.
Oh, the video cut out.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I think that's the strongest introduction we've had to Fan Battle.
Yeah, that Crash 4 diss hurt.
It did.
I've really gotten into rap battles lately, and I thought it would be so much fun to do one to introduce Specter.
Shit. By the way, it just started massive storming outside for me, so if I go out, the power went out.
No problem. So yeah, Specter was once a juggling monkey in a circus who accidentally got his hand on a brain helmet that made him extremely smart. So he decided to take over the world and make monkeys the dominant force, only to be defeated by a kid with a lightsaber and a pocket net.
Did you say a pocket mint?
Pocket net, yes, because it's ape escape. You gotta capture the apes.
Oh, I heard mint.
No, he didn't
what-
use a bit.
What a wonderfully simple description. I can't imagine there'd be any absurd stats coming from this.
Okay.
Okay, Rand,
So-
you may now introduce Neo Cortex.
Okay, so Neo Periwinkle Cortex was your average smart genius at the age of 3. So much to the point where, you know the N on his forehead? That's actually a tattoo given to him by his peers at the age of 3. And that made him so angry and kind of crazy that he blew up and burnt down his family circus.
Why is
because
the
he-
circus a continuous part of this?
And he teamed up with Embryo to rule the world with an army of animals. It didn't quite work because he kind of didn't he rushed things, and he invented Crash, Coco, Cortana, Crunch, and they have stopped him at almost every step of the way when he tries to conquer the world. That's all I got.
Yep, sounds like the old fellow.
That works. All right. So
I will say, I this will be a kind of a composite of the main Crash games, including the old timeline, as well as some stuff from Skylanders, but that's just his arsenal.
Gotcha.
yeah, the usual stuff, similar to what we did for Crash versus DK.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing new. Which Which tier would you like to start with? Arsenal, strength, whichever one you'd like.
Let's let the jury members decide.
Yeah, so I have a question first. So is this going to be more of an army battle or more of like a one-on-one here?
It's mostly a one-on-one.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Specter has plenty of his own stuff to work with. He doesn't rely on the apes to do what he needs. So it's mostly a one-on-one.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, if Riddles is good with it, I'm thinking equipment would be probably pretty good to start with.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Then
this sounds-
I'll let you go first, Rand.
Okay. So Ned Climax has
What?
run with it. It's a bit. So Ned Climax has a bunch of things in his arsenal, from giant robots all the way to his standard gun. Can you bring up, if the image will want to load on my end, can you bring up gun modes, please? So Cortex's standard laser, plasma laser gun has a bunch of different modes on it. All the way from to a mode that can completely pacify foes, to a foe that can paralyze them, to blockification and jellification. It has a tractor beam. It has this weird stun thing. Can you also bring up image no explanation needed? So his gun also has the ability to just set people on fire.
My favorite setting.
Yes, my favorite setting, cremation. And he's used this gun for many different things, from plasma, lasers. Again, he can turn his enemies into somehow sentient steel blocks and bouncy jello molds. He also has like a bunch of things that can fly in the air. He has an anti-grav suit. He has his hoverboard, jetpack. Can you also bring up image? Where is it? Can you also bring up jet boots?
You say it with so much enthusiasm.
That it's a Sonic Adventure reference.
Gotcha.
So he has plenty of things that he can use to maneuver and get around. He also, of course, has robots and things like that. But I'll get into those because those are more like can deal with some feats. But what can you bring up? The Hindenburg.
Oh boy.
So Cortex has a mini number of blimps throughout the series that can do many different things. This is the one from either Crash of the Titans or Mind Over Mutant. Basically, all those like little telescope nipple things down at the bottom can fire lasers of ice that are so powerful that they can stop people from moving, including Crunch, a more buff physical Bandicoot than Crash, that can take Crash's punishment. And it took him like days to break out of this ice.
Gotcha.
And he also has like a bunch of air bases, space stations, but I'll get into those because those more deal with feats.
Gotcha.
But yeah, he also has this device. Can you bring up duplicate?
I didn't know he was a fan of Invincible.
You got the reference. So this is something from Crash of the Titans and Mind of Mutant that Cortex invented that can clone and replicate a person and have them fight for him. He cloned Crash and had the clones of Crash fight actual Crash.
Interesting.
And they're able to map Crash in combat.
I will note that when we discuss this in the Crash vs. DK Pandal cast, the Make Another Nader can make up to 16 copies.
Yeah.
So you have up to 16
Okay.
copies in this case.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games until he uses it on it.
Yes, the Mutant games are part of the reboot series. They completely redesigned Crash to make him look like a geriatric old man with tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tribal
They're not
tattoos.
good. Also, the first game is surprisingly down bad.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, you guys need to understand. My introduction to the Crash series was one of those games on the DS, and that's
Ugh.
Oh, ugh.
okay. You say
You
that,
poor
but it's
thing.
actually okay. No, because the one I got was like the one that was a 3D platform, and that one was actually about to say decent. About to say that one was very much
It's a
like
3D platformer Crash game on on the DS.
Yeah, it's
I
the
might-
DS version of Crash of the Titans.
yeah.
It's
About to say.
okay. It's
fun.
okay.
Yeah,
Also,
I
It's the best of the DS ones. The rest
You
all
wanna know
suck.
how much I did research for this? I looked into Crash Boom Bang for this.
ooh.
You poor moron.
And this is how we
Poor
find the
soul.
multiversal feats. Anyway, though.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we'll get to multiversal feats. Don't you worry.
Oh
yeah, I
God.
feel like we've talked about the Crash side enough, and I want to know more
Okay.
about the funny monkey.
Yeah,
Funny
what does
monkey.
Specter
Well,
have?
Worst
Well, then.
games always have the best feats.
That's true.
That's too true. Well, I wasn't going to break into some of this too early, but we might as well. Please pull up We Have Technology.
I can't wait for it to just be Specter with the stick.
Spectre is no mere caveman like us puny humans, for he's a monkey. That helmet on his head that shows off his remarkably spiky hair is a revamped version of his peak point helmet, which is what gave him his intelligence and turned him into the villain we know today. It boosts his intelligence to the point of peak, basically as smart as he can possibly be, and he uses this to create a variety of weapons that he relies on. One of them he uses are those dual stun clubs with the purple tips, which he can use for hitting enemies, similar to the lightsaber that his arch-rival Spike uses to stun monkeys to capture them. He's almost never seen without his hover throne, shown in the top right, which he sits on and has a variety of weapons with. He's shot missiles from it, it causes electronic blasts, it has grabby hands to deal with annoying captures, it creates a force field, but then he needs to whip out some of the big guns. And for him, there's nothing bigger than in our bottom left, the nano cannon. This thing is so powerful, it can shrink a human to the size of bugs without them finding a way to bring it back. Not exactly the best position to be in when you're dealing with someone like him, who loves using mechs and would step on you as easily as stepping in a loser. But then, you're really in trouble if he brings out this one. In the Ape Escape anime, at one point, Spectre
what now?
created... Ape Escape has an anime. It's somewhat a different continuity, but is still accurate to the series.
Okay.
Okay, sorry for the interruption.
No problem. For some reason in the anime, he created a device called the Monkey Morpher. This shot across the entire planet and turned every human into a monkey. It just did. And his arch-rival Spike barely defeated him with this. It's one of his best options. And when you turn into a peepo monkey, you don't exactly keep your human intelligence or anything. You are just become monkey now.
Just become monkey.
Honestly, wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Would be a lot
this
better
isn't-
actually.
But this isn't all he has in terms of arsenal. Bring out the monkey mechas.
Monka. The monkas.
Spectre, like any good mad scientist and dictator, loves his giant robots. He's got a battle cruiser he flies around in that can shoot things like mini UFOs that his apes pilot. It shoots fire and missiles. He's got Goliath mechs, similar to gorillas, that can do things like walk and fly around when he's not using his hover chair. And then he's got the Saru 03 on the bottom left. If you were paying attention in my rap earlier, this thing has something called the Chop Rocket that's so powerful, it would have split the Earth in half. He intended to do this to basically kill everyone on Earth and then have his monkeys take over because he was that sick of humans.
Take over what?
The moon, I don't know.
That's like the Eggman thing of ripping the planet apart to expose Dark Gaia. You expect anyone to survive that?
Precisely. He also has a giant mech called the Specter Voltron on the bottom right. This thing can assemble continents apart like jigsaw puzzles and play bowling with the planets. It's easily his most powerful mech by far. if the Sorrow 03 doesn't do the job for him. He's also got a few other weapons that I might go into later. But for starters, that's what I use Kapakin.
Alrighty, got lots of good stuff.
So it's very much about to say, it's very interesting hearing up on with this, and
Yeah.
Ape Escape
I-
gets wild.
Oh yeah.
To say the least. I haven't even gotten some of the biggest stuff, but yeah, it has always been a crazy series.
Yeah, I didn't know how wild it was until I read a blog not too long ago with a lot of Ape Escape stuff.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm
think it was
kind
a
of
little
so I'm
spike.
kind of a little familiar, and yeah, this seems pretty on brand.
Yep. So we went to some of their arsenal, but at least for Specter, he has some physical powers of his own. Does Cortex have any powers you want to bring up?
Like physical stats or
Like powers, abilities, or does he solely rely on his inventions?
um, kind of. Most of Cortex is like big stuff that he does himself is mainly just in terms of like durability feats.
Fair enough. Then you can go into that because Spectre
Okay.
has some physical powers he has that I'll have to go into later.
Okay, so Cortex has some very wacky and wild durability feats. So for once, he has some light toon force, quote unquote, because we've seen him crushed by anvils and get right back up. He can kind of stretch his body a little bit. He has his own crash, belly flop, and spin dash, which if we kind of articulate that crash and spin dash can reflect back projectiles, maybe Cortex can as well. And we also see that he can just like survive falling in spikes getting crushed by logs. He also had his entire brain taken out and is still able to use motor functions, and he even shoved his own brain back in his head. He survived being frozen like in a solid block of ice for like 3 to 4 years.
You mean to tell me that Cortex was frozen today?
Damn it!
I feel like I saw that. I feel like that meme died a decade ago.
Yeah.
I couldn't resist.
Cortex can survive in outer space without any helmets or anything. He's also like survived planetary re-entry and being. I think we can articulate that he survived being cut apart by that laser in Crash 2. He's also survived multiple beatings from Uka Uka,
Yeah.
who kind of has some of Cortex, who kind of gives Cortex some of his best stuff.
Yeah, that checks out.
Fair
So,
enough. Okay.
quick question, since it's been kind of a bit for me, but I'm remembering at the ending of Crash 2 that there was a bad say that basically like the ending where you get all the gems. The heroes blow up his space station before he could use it. Was Cortex still on the ship when that happened?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that would be
This
okay.
that's it. And I still think it's like, what do I think with Cortex durability? Ah, yes, Crash to Insanity.
Yeah, we've seen Cortex's like skull is so durable it can be used as a hammer to break solid metal crates.
Yeah.
Or thinking of that one time where Crash used him as a skateboard crotch first for rail
Yeah.
grinding.
Speaking of that, can you bring up? Speaking of that, let's get to that. Can you bring up best feat, please?
Oh, this should be rich.
So in Crash to Insanity, you were sliding down a mountain slope, and in one instance you grind on a rail, and instead of like your standard grinding, now you use Cortex's groin to grind along the rail. And during this entire cutscene, you can hear Cortex's voice in hyper going, and you do this multiple times in the game.
You see, if this was a supervillain origin story, I'd understand.
I'm thinking of the scene. I'm thinking of the scene in Freddy vs. Jason where Freddy tries to kick Jason in the crotch, and it's so hard he hurts his own foot.
I can feel his pain.
Yeah.
And like, he also has survived like again multiple different things. He survived traveling to other dimensions, well, forcefully pulled into other dimensions, which I'll get into that much later. But he's also just like he can scale to Crash in durability, maybe even exceed Crash in durability, because he can scale to the elemental masks from Wrath of Cortex that can do things like freeze the entire Earth or cause massive earthquakes that can be felt across the entire planet.
Yeah, yeah, that works. Yeah, I think I remember.
So
Yeah,
his-
I would say
Okay,
he's as
not
tough
bad.
as Crash at the bare minimum.
Oh,
Well, of course
definitely
he's-
at this point.
Well, of course he's tougher. Crash only takes 1 hit to die. Cortex takes 3.
4 actually, sometimes more than
It varies.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's some good stuff. I guess I'll go into some Specter's durability. A lot of what Spectre gets comes from scaling to his arch nemesis Spike and the powerful weapons that he wields. Spike is a little kid who grew up pretty quickly and had to go out to collect all the escaped apes, and he became Spectre's obsession in a way as his arch rival. Spike has some incredibly powerful weapons considering he's just capturing monkeys with a net, including some things like a magic punch, which is a boxing glove that can obliterate giant machinery. He has a satellite ray, which is a gun he can shoot at his foes that becomes targeted by a giant laser shooting off a satellite in space, come down on its target. And Spectre has his own version of this as well. So he survived something that powerful and can use it himself. The majority of Spike's weaponry gets around continental level. It's some pretty damn powerful stuff, and Spectre has resisted multiple hits from him.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He also, before he even has to get hit by things, he happens to be a telekinetic. Because for some reason, if you're a monkey villain, you need some form of telekinesis. Isn't that right, Gron? Using his telekinetic powers, he uses all kinds of strange weaponry. He decides to try and use it for the likes of doing things like creating force fields or even summoning clones of himself to distract foes. He can create shockwaves, and he's created force fields around entire arenas of a boss fight, both around him and his chair. So he can not only tank these kinds of hits, but he can also create his force field to not even have to be hurt by them. So the majority of his stuff is pretty hard to crack sometimes. He also has his own form of telekinesis, which is so powerful it can lift up gigantic mechs with ease. So any mech that Cortex brings to the fight, like say the Mecha Bandicoot or his blimp, Spectre could just laugh, move around with his finger, and slam into a wall.
Okay.
I'll also correct something is that about the Sorrow 3, I read it wrong, is that to quote him, his plan was to execute something called Double Paradise. He is going to split the Earth in half to have one side for the monkeys and the other half for the humans. He's a fan of monkey segregation.
Oh God.
Oh,
Unfortunately, despite being so smart, he didn't think through the fact that splitting the Earth in half would destroy it. Oh well, that's why he's in the spaceship and we're on Earth.
Yeah.
but to be fair, Cortex has had plenty of blunders too.
Yeah.
Most certainly. So shall we go into speed or strength?
I feel
would-
like both of these guys theoretically conceivably have ways to one-shot each other.
Yeah, so far that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking too. But I think we should go strength because I think speed is kind of going to make me kind of decide on, kind of at least come to more of a conclusion on who would win here.
I completely agree. I've gone into most of the strength stuff, so I'll let you go, Ram.
Okay, so in all of my research into Cortex, I could find things that you could equivalent to strength, but no like calculations for it.
Okay.
Because for some reason Cortex has like no research done on him, surprisingly, which is kind of sad.
Okay. A little under
But-
researched.
Yeah, under researched, but most of his like strength stuff is like some more of his equipment. Like we know that his gun can like pick up heavy steel blocks and throw them. He's strong enough to push Tiny Tiger by himself.
How much does Tiny Tiger weigh?
Like a couple 100 pounds maybe.
I'd assume similar to Crunch.
Yeah,
They're built similarly, and Crash could lift Crunch over his head.
yeah,
Crunch is twice the size of Crash, if not higher. So I'd put him
Yeah.
around 300 pounds.
yeah. And like Cortex has like Cortex has like his own barriers as well that he can just pop up and you can't really do any damage to him. Like again, he has a lot more equipment that I didn't get into at the very beginning. That has a lot of his stuff to for it. Ooh, I almost just cut that by accident. But yeah, Cortex's strength is like under researched. Best he gets is he can like lift 300 pounds, maybe more. With his own mechs, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Bandipedia says that Tiny weighs about 200 pounds, but it is basing it off of the Crash of the Titans version. So
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, a lot of Cortex's weapons are built for smaller targets like Crash. Even when he wants to like take over the world, he doesn't really rely on strength to do so. He relies more on his technology.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's fair. And I think he is pretty stacked in that regard from everything I've heard so far.
Well,
Yeah.
he also I'm doing a bit more. I'm looking periodically at the stuff that I couldn't find images for, but he has like 3 different ways of creating force fields just around himself with power ups. But yeah, he has multiple ways of creating force fields if things go wrong.
Okay.
I have like a bunch of other stuff in terms of Arsenal, but I think we can get into those like in a minute or two, right?
The biggest guns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
best stuff, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So we should probably go into speed then before we get to the big stuff.
yeah.
I agree. I'll go first on this one. Please pull
Yeah.
up Space Monkey.
Some monkey.
Monkey.
Wait, I thought we were talking about apes.
Well, to be fair,
Good question.
apes don't have tails, monkeys do. Okay, Croat is pulling up. Okay, so this one, at least for me, is pretty straightforward. Specter scales to and is on par with Spike, and Spike has spent many years capturing little monkeys. Has spent years capturing these little monkeys that go around. This is a mini game in one of the games where you pilot this monkey in a UFO who is going around blasting everything in sight and absolutely tearing across the solar system. This is a short clip of this. This mini game can go up for 15 minutes long, and it crosses past the entire solar system in this case. But the thing is, wait, that's just a mini game. That UFO he's piloting are the same UFOs in the main games, piloted by those monkeys that Spectre has under his control, and he is faster than his own monkeys. And Spike has reacted to said monkeys to shoot and chase them down. I looked up the math on this. It said that within 2.5 minutes, the UFO is piloted across the entire solar system all the way to Earth. That means reaction speeds and movement speeds about 33 times the speed of light.
All right.
That's
Okay.
a speedy monkey.
That is a fast monkey.
That's a speedy ape.
That's
I was
a
wondering-
speedy ape.
I was just wondering why they were seemingly fighting space pig balloons.
You do what you do. So yes,
Yeah.
Spectre should honestly be faster than that because he is always shown as superior to his monkey troops, and Spike regularly keeps up with these said monkeys and is on par with Spectre and vice versa.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, Spectre is at least faster than light, upwards of around 33 times, I'd say, if not more, for reaction and movement speeds.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds about right. That looks good.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you got,
So-
Rand?
So Cortex's speed is interesting because, again, under research, Paul brought something up to me, but we couldn't calc it. I do have an image of his low end in terms of speed. Can you bring up a very shocking, please?
I like to imagine his low end is just like him doing a casual jog.
That's kind of it. Cortex has dodged electricity or lightning. That's his low end.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Alright.
We do see him in like the Mind Over Mutant and Crash of the Titans. We do see him dodge laser beams from some of his own troops in the final boss. And there is one thing in Crash Purple. The thing that Paul sent me, where
Oh boy.
Cortex is flying a robot that is going through space and the stars are moving behind him, and we see him cross a galaxy in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So
The final
Yeah.
the final boss of Crash Purple with Ripto and Cortex fighting in space. We couldn't
Yeah.
get it calced, but yeah, that thing moved really fast in comparison to the background in space.
yeah, so
Okay.
so Cortex could be matching Specter speed, or it could be a little bit faster.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Though I will note that that's good reaction time for Cortex. That's not a movement speed for him because that was his ship. So if they were both on foot, Spectre's a lot faster of
Yeah.
the two.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they both have excellent reaction times,
Yeah, and
which is
actually,
good which is necessary for them with how many weapons they'd be throwing at each other.
Yeah, and like base Cortex is like faster than light, maybe like 3 times faster than light.
And of course uses laser guns and the like himself.
Yeah, because we have seen like in Crash 4, It's About Time, Cortex's gun automatically goes off because he's playing with it, and it does the cartoon thing about shooting above his head at his feet, and he's able to like move out of the way of it as it is shooting.
All right. Do we want to go? Actually, I'm going to answer a few questions from chat right now. So we have a
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Alfie Nation says, "What's going to happen if Cortex shoots his planet shrinking ray at one of Specter's
That-
planet-sized mechs?"
that's one of my arguments.
Well,
He was
what's going to
gonna-
happen is Specter's going to shoot his shrinking gun that shoots Cortex down to the size of a bug, which was even smaller than how small Cortex made the planet.
Well, that's okay. That one I'm thinking because it's kind of the parallel thing because it's like, on one hand,
Wouldn't that create a black hole?
don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
But no,
It'll
it's
be
like,
fine.
well, it's kind of like the funny perspective of it's like obviously bugs compared to, if I remember correctly, like a hand-sized thing. The hand-sized thing's bigger, but then you remember that the hand-sized thing was the whole planet compared to a person.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
The
Fair enough.
Yeah, Cortex just has a laser that can shrink things, and it can even shrink people down to like nothing in 3 seconds. But funny enough, we have seen Cortex reverse shrinking and survived being shrunk.
All right, fair enough.
So I think this is the end of Twin Sanity, where Cortex got shrunk down to the point that he was
Right.
inside of Crash's brain.
Yeah. I've seen that clip.
Yeah, and he was
Impressive
just stuck
considering
in
there's
there.
not much there.
And he was stuck in his brain for like a little while. He somehow got out and reversed himself.
Yeah.
And
I
we-
forgot about
and-
that. Yeah.
And we've seen, and we have seen people reverse the shrinking of the shrinking ray by using the crystals in Crash. And Cortex always has a few of them on himself at all times.
Yep, he does.
He
And
always,
I'd
has,
argue,
he always has a bunch of crystals and gems on himself at all times. And he can match Witch with Coco.
and I'll tackle Army. We'll talk about Army later, but I will say now, if he got Spectre with it, like he shrunk with Spectre's mechs within a minute, Spectre would start screaming like an idiot and then yelling at his troops to go destroy whatever it is that shrunk him. His troops fly in on their super fast UFOs, blast his ship apart, and destroy the laser. He'd find a way to come back from it.
Yeah.
It would be about either of them shrinking each other first and then killing the other before it gets reversed.
Yeah.
Another question by Floating Shopping List. What's going to happen when Cortex,
you're cutting out a bit, Paul.
uses...
You're cutting out.
You're just cutting out a bit.
Oh,
when
no problem.
Doing that,
What's
but
gonna
thankfully you
happen-
seem to be better.
What's going to happen when Cortex uses Brio's serum to turn into a monster and try to rip Spectre apart with his bare hands?
Okay.
That's from Mind Over
They're-
Mutants.
They're bringing
Cortex
up.
isn't strong enough.
They're bringing up my. They're bringing up some of my arguments already. Damn it.
Well, my argument there is Cortex isn't strong enough. Even in his monster form, he doesn't show continental feats. And Specter survived stuff that powerful. Specter has survived getting hit by stuff that powerful. So even if he tried, I don't think he'd be strong enough to do so, and that Specter would just get annoyed, hit him with something, and keep fighting.
This also seems to be a battle that's more hacks and intelligent based. Becoming a monster is not the winning move here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It
And
just
even
makes you a
then-
bigger target.
I have
Even
that.
then,
I have
Crash-
that. I have that serum image labeled drugs.
Yeah, I know when Brio used the serum, Crash made light work of him pretty easy, so I don't think it would really help Cortex that much.
Cortex.
Yeah.
Cortex also has a handheld version of the mutation thing that made Crash.
Okay.
You know, and this is now making me think in random things. So, quick question with Spectre, since it's established that like his intelligence came from a helmet. What happens when you take if it's taken off?
I've looked into that a little. It did not immediately affect him.
Okay.
He does lose some of his telekinetic powers, but it's not like if you knock it off, he goes back to being a normal monkey. He has had it on for too long, and then he made a superior version of it based on the original model that made him even more powerful. So if you knocked it off him, he'd get mad, lose some of his powers, and then try and get it back on. He'll be fine if you knock it off him. Whereas with his normal monkeys, if you knock it off of them, they'd stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of curious.
So,
No, it's a good
Funny-
question.
so I kind of want to bring up Cortex's thing real quick. So, can you bring up a free bucket helmet, please?
Hi, Perch Perkins.
Would you like a free bucket helmet from the drum bucket?
Sure, thanks, Mike.
This is Cortex's NV. This is his own mind controlling helmet. That's powered off of Uka Uka.
Oh.
And Uka Uka is powerful enough that he can just look at you and mind control you. And he distributed these NV helmets for free for the entire population of the planet.
And these helmets gave everyone free television.
So this feels like
Yes.
it's
They thought.
tying in.
And these NVs can, I'm just gonna say, hulkify their users.
Mutate them.
Yeah, mutate them. And they have their own defense mechanisms if you try to take them off. They have lasers that can vaporize people. They also have, if you just touch them, they can also just turn you to ash. We see this happen to Crash.
Okay.
Interesting.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately for you, Spectre has something similar. In one of his great schemes, because he was starting to really get fed up with a 10-year-old ruining all his plans, he managed to get on TV. But he didn't just get on TV to show off. He managed to mind control most of the planet through their televisions. Just by distributing this satellite. So with a glance on his TV, on a TV screen that he could project himself onto, he could hypnotize and mind control you.
Yeah, the same
Also,
thing.
speaking of Hulkify, a fun fact is that Spectre seems to get stronger the angrier he gets in a fight.
The one
Interesting.
thing about the NVs is that since they're powered off of Uka Uka, you would have to take Uka Uka out of the fight. Which
Yes.
and I am not getting anywhere close to the stuff Uka Uka can do, because Cortex has Uka Uka.
We can talk about Uka when we cover Army.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
There is like a couple of other things I want to bring up about Cortex's arsenal.
Sure thing.
Of course, he has. We brought this up already, but I just want to show this image. Can you bring up "I'm pissing on the earth," please? You all know what this one is.
Yeah.
So, Cortex actually has two versions of this. He has a handheld version and the big space station laser.
I thought those were the same thing in the game.
Kind
laser in the
of.
final battle? I thought those were the same.
Kind of. I can't really remember because it's a GBA game, and it's
Yeah, it was hard to tell. So
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, this is the shrinking laser. I of course covered this in Crash vs. DK. Because it's GBA style, so this is done in the slideshow instead of a proper cutscene, we estimate it'd be around 3 seconds for him to shrink the Earth like that, give or take.
Yeah.
So yeah. And this thing works pretty dang fast, and you can fire it pretty quickly. It fires in short bursts in the fight against Crash.
And this is also something else. Can you bring up Air City? This is just going more into his arsenal. So this is Cortex's air base. We see this in the background of one of the mutant games. I'm just gonna say, and it is supporting. Can you bring up Megamind, our robot? Like you already brought up that Cortex's machines could just be like, I'm just bringing these up because they're funny, and like he calls this thing the Doominator.
That looks ridiculous.
It is. He calls it the Doominator, which is such a Megamind ass name.
I mean, I'm thinking more Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
The Dominator.
And this thing is powered by Mojo, which is basically the counter
Jojo?
to yeah.
Yeah.
This
Yep,
is
Cortex
basically
wins.
Yeah, this is countered to. This is basically the equivalent to Uka Uka's Dark Mojo. This thing is powered by Mojo, and Cortex stated that this robot could destroy the Wumpa Islands. Which that's
Island.
yeah, and like the Wumpa Island, it's like all of the Wumpa Islands, and they're pretty big in the mutant games. But yeah. I just wanted to bring that up because it's funny that it's a Megamind robot called the Doominator.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And can you
yeah.
bring up Ice Tower, please? So this is Cortex's base in the Arctic. This massive Twin Towers looking robot. Twin Towers looking building houses a device. I can't remember what it's called. It's called the Twistinator that allows Cortex to access all the way up to the 11th dimension.
What?
Yes. Because Cortex, in this game, we learned that that at the age of, I think, 2, created a little handheld device to send his pet parrots into the 11th dimension.
Okay, right.
And
then they came back like 20 years later or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they have the dumbest name for a villain duo. They're called the Evil Twins.
They really
Brilliant.
used all their creativity for the rest of the game and had none left for the villain's name.
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
the Evil Twins, their plan is they have their own giant robot that I think God, the end of that game was such a blur. They said Cortex isn't a creative namer, it seems. No, the parents called themselves the Evil Twins. And Cortex's big transdimension device can teleport this entire thing and the surrounding area around it into the 11th dimension.
I see. So BFR, gotcha.
Yeah, he also has, I think it's called, let me look at the versus battle wiki real quick, because he has something else. He has something called the Warp Orb, which does the exact same thing. It just BFRs them somewhere. And yeah. And yeah.
Okay.
I also have like all of his like Skylanders equipment in here as well. Like Cortex has multiple different types of explosives that he can just pull out of his ass like hammer space. He has an infinite number of classic bomb type bombs. He also has a whole bunch of landmines that he can just throw around the arena.
Yeah.
And
Does Cortex get like all the items from like the racing games?
yes,
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
which
Is
would
there anything
include
funny that-
which would include Embryo's acid, tornadoes, and all that. And like Cortex can drive his cart that can match what's the villain of Crash Team Racing? Nitrous Oxide.
Yes.
Nitrous Oxide's race car was able to fly from his galaxy to Crash's galaxy in a number of seconds, and Cortex's cart can keep up with his.
All right. Okay. Croat, I just sent you a picture to talk about something quickly. Could you pull up Monkey Nader?
Did I actually say Monkey Manor?
Monkeyinator. You brought up
Okay.
how the Doominator looks like something Doomfruits would create.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's actually see what this thing looks like.
There is an episode where Doofenshmirtz created something called the Slavinator, which is a giant hypno screen, and he used it to create an army of hypnotized monkeys to do a giant soap scheme for him in the side of a defunct volcano.
The funny thing about this is he only made one of these helmets because monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
And and like funny everything but turns to monkey. Oh god.
So yeah, Doofenshmirtz,
Also-
Specter, and Neocortex, all mind control monkeys, the monsters.
Also, can I just say something? The fact that they let Dan Povenmire allow something called the Slavinator on Disney TV.
It's
mean,
also referred to as the Monkey and Slavinator.
I mean, that ain't the weirdest thing I'll do. But on other things,
So yeah, I had to detour for that.
Yeah, that's
I don't have a ton left to go over in Arsenal. Can we go into Army?
Yeah, I have
yeah,
a few
might as well.
I have a few things of Arsenal, but most of them are for like on Uka Uka. But I just have a few other things. Can you bring up Piss Laser?
didn't you already bring that up?
No, I have a different one.
It's a different
You
one.
brought up the one for Earth, not the one for the Moon.
Yeah. So I kind of gave Cortex his arsenal from Skylanders Imaginators because it would make sense that he had this. He has a homing laser that he can basically extend his gun into the staff that can send this laser that he can run around and react to himself.
Much like the one I brought up, the satellite ray that Spectre has.
Yeah.
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 Gotcha.
And Cortex also has a bunch of other abilities. Can you bring up? Let me look here. Can you bring up time? Huh?
Man, it's weird that these two have a lot of weapons and arsenal parts that really work well off each other. It's almost like these two are
Yeah.
similar villains in a way from the PS1 that really pair well together for a death battle. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
C tier on the tier list.
PS1 villains.
So-
That is true. That is true.
I agree it's C tier only because I think Mojo is a better matchup, but I
Yeah.
think this one is a lot of fun and it was
This
really
ain't
fun
about
doing it.
Mojo versus things
Uh,
about Neo versus
Crowat.
I
can you
actually
bring up
like both
the
of-
image time, huh?
Yeah, I like Mojo versus Spectre and Cortex versus Spectre the same. I like them both the exact same amount.
I personally like Cortex versus Dr. Nefarious.
I'd say
That was
let's
good too.
focus on this.
Yeah, so let's focus on this
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Let's look at
But Cortex has access to to entropy staff.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Huh.
Huh.
which can slow down time in a given area. And he has
Interesting.
other abilities with this as well. Like he can shoot his gun into it and can split off into other areas of time slowdown and time stop. And he can even overcharge his gun to fire in multiple directions at once.
Ah, interesting. I see.
And Yeah, and the other stuff, all the other images I have for Skylanders Cortex are for Uka Uka, so we'll get into that whenever we get into Army.
Yeah.
I think now's a good time to get into Army because you're really building up Uka Uka like this and
Yeah.
relying on
Yeah.
him in a way from the sound of things. So I think we'll go straight into it. I'm glad I prepared this because, again, I said we wouldn't focus on Army, but so is over. Please bring in Planet of the Apes.
Yeah,
Oh,
like Cortex has like a few other things in his arsenal, like teleporter and like all that.
The star of the show in Ape Escape is and always has been the apes themselves. Their beautiful buggy eyes, their cute little button helmets, their long brown fur, they are the highlight and standout of the series ever since the very beginning. In the very first Ape Escape, Specter released and used for his dirty deeds over 300 apes. That was just in the first game. As the series has grown on, there is literally a game titled Ape Escape Million Monkeys. The game he is in. But these monkeys don't just run around and act wild. As you can see by my profile picture, this one is packing. As time went on, the apes got more unique and all over the place, and they've done all sorts of fun things with them. In the third game, the third game went in a very Hollywood direction with stuff like movie parodies. So there's one monkey who wears a hockey mask and a chainsaw to look like Jason. And of course, we've seen things like the monkeys and the UFOs that I brought up that can pilot like that and are in the game and fight for Spectre. So he has all of these monkeys to pull out when he needs to if he is in need of help. And of course, he can send them out to do what he needs to. He can use his telekinesis to throw them around, have some of them pilot his mechs if he needs help with it. You just can't beat it. There's so many of them that even a good area of attack move or multiple area attack moves won't be enough to keep up with them. There's just too many of them.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I also forgot to mention, among Spectre's powers in the telekinesis, he can also create false copies of himself.
So even more monkeys to add on to the monkeys.
Yep.
Monkeys and monkeys.
So he can create illusions of himself, which is a good counter argument to the make another Inator, and then he can use his own monkeys.
So I suppose, quick question: is there any like standout ape about say one of them in that group outside of Spectre himself, or are they all interchangeable with the exception of the big boss?
There are some boss monkeys. I excluded them in my research because it would be like saying, well, Cortex gets to use like embryo and entropy. That didn't really sound right.
Yeah.
Using literally the other bosses, especially when they have repeatedly betrayed him.
Yeah, it's a little bit
They're
out
not
of the
going to
scope
help.
of this
They're
battle.
not going to help him if he can die in the process, so that they're rid of him.
Yeah. Like, again, I didn't really do much research into entropy because Cortex does have his staff in Skylanders, so he can do some time shenanigans with it. But
I think Cortex has one of those problems of it is like, okay, which one of you guys haven't backstabbed him at some point?
Yeah.
Engine.
Engine is the only one so far is the only one. And Entrance, but Entrance is only in like one game.
Yeah. But yeah, so I didn't really do much research into Cortex's army because they are kind of all interchangeable. Like all of them have like lasers, acid, disintegration, all that jazz.
Yep.
But there is one that is constantly like has a very, I'm just gonna say, a toxic gay relationship with Cortex. That's basically what Uka Uka and Cortex is at this point. Tell me I'm wrong.
I'd say it's more apt to call it an abusive dad telling his son to get another beer.
Rand, I'm going to counteract that with one line from Mind Over Music. I was getting so tired of that guy. Feels like I married my mother. Not that I've ever considered that. That's a direct link for Cortex after he has caged up Uka Uka to use him for making bad mojo. Something Uka Uka did not agree to.
Yeah. And like Uka Uka wanted Cortex to be more evil. So what's more evil than kidnapping and torturing the most evilest thing? Uka Uka.
Yeah.
So what is
and-
Betsy? So what does Cortex get thanks to Uka Uka stuff?
Okay, so can you bring up Aku Aku, please? So Uka Uka has can match his brother, his I think it was younger twin brother, Aku Aku in power, and I believe it said somewhere in one of the games that in one of the spin-off games, I think it was like one of the GBA games, that Uka Uka can like drain the power from stars.
Source.
Huh. Yeah.
I'm gonna need to find the image for this one because I remember seeing it in a power scaling for Cortex video. So let me look that up real quick while we're talking about this.
Okay, while you're looking that up, is there any other points to Betsy you bring up?
Can you bring up some stuff for Specter while I'm looking for this video?
I can keep talking. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me think. Actually, I'll go over a little of the story behind Million Monkeys because I brought up that one, which is a platforming video game in the series from 2006. Specter got his own playable story plot in it, so it's pretty major for him. He has to deal with an imposter using his likeness to try and take over the world, and then he is using Specter's monkeys to invade over 30 world countries, and an anti-monkey world defense has been established with the help of over 43 countries. So an imposter of Specter nearly took over the Earth, something he's tried to do and almost did repeatedly. He confronts this imposter named Mystery Man, defeats him and destroys him. Then Spike defeats Specter, which makes him even angrier. So yeah, he's dealt with imposters before.
Gotcha.
Or he doesn't just fight Spike all the time. He's dealt with people trying to use his likeness, whereas someone like Cortex rarely does well on his own, trying to fight against others when he's betrayed. Like in Crash 4, where he needed to team up with Crash and Coco in order to stop Entropy from taking over everything.
Okay, so I have found it. It's from one of the GBA games, and it stated that the crystals in Crash have the power of from this video that I watched, which is from someone who does drunk power scaling.
Oh, I know. Who that-
Yeah, it was a video from 9 months ago. He says that Uka Uka can match Aku Aku in power with the crystals that power stars. But there is a much better star feat for Uka Uka, which is from Crash Team Rumble, where Uka Uka can just casually move the sun and moon.
Of course he can. Of course he can.
You take the moon and you take the sun.
The sun.
You use this to win a power scaling debate against a monkey.
Yes. And
That would happen on that show, let's be fair.
And Aku and Uka Uka can do multiple things. He can fly onto people and fully possess their bodies.
Right.
Okay.
And he can also just look at people and possess them. He also has fire, lasers, lightning. His clashes with Aku Aku can create explosions.
Yeah, tiny ones, but yeah.
Yeah, tiny ones, but yeah. He also can scale to the elemental masks, who can do things like freeze the earth in Ice Age or cause earthquakes all over the planet. But he can also.
I don't know about him scaling to the elemental masks.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
So,
I don't know about that one, especially since Aku Aku had to turn around and flee when they showed up after attacking him once.
Yeah, but
I don't buy Oka scaling them, and even if he did, at best, like I said in Crash vs. DK, we don't have a good idea for the AP of the elemental masks, just their powers.
Yeah.
They made that claim of an Ice Age. We have no idea the scale of it.
Yeah. But another thing that Uka Uka can do is invincibility, like his brother Aku Aku, like pure unbridled invincibility.
Yeah.
Invincibility is always weird in games because you really need to like. Would that invincibility resist transmutation? Would that, stop people from getting BFR'd? Like, invincibility is such a hard thing to define in power scaling, especially when it's from video games, because like,
Yeah.
how good is this invincibility?
I'll note in Crash Bandicoot Q's Adventure that the shrinking gun in the final battle, if you bring in Aku Aku, he can tank one hit from the shrinking laser. So with that, if Uka Uka gets hit by Specter's shrinking laser, then I think he tank one hit of it, get shrunk to the size of a bug, and then do the same to Cortex.
But another thing is can you bring up let me see if this is the right image. No, that's not it. Here it is. Can you bring up Boo? Image Boo, please. So, Aku Aku in can destroy projectiles with his face.
Okay.
That is just a very funny out of context thing. Destroys projectile with his face. I think we call that getting shot.
But the thing is,
Yeah.
he can survive from. But the thing is, he can survive shots from this, and you can destroy them. There's also a base ability he has in the game as well. Like Cortex can just shout, and Uka Uka will just appear in front of him and block things.
Mm-hmm.
He also has mirror. Can you bring up image mirror on the wall? So this is also another ability. After a projectile is blocked, Uka can just explode projectiles and just deal damage in the area around him. So another area of effect thing.
Uh-huh. Okay.
My question is, what are the kind of projectiles we know these kind of block? Because
Okay, so I would have to go into scaling to Skylanders for that.
okay, then yeah, it's a little tough to try and figure out how this would apply without going into Skylander scaling.
The best thing that I can do is surviving projectiles from chaos.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give him scaling, but more of like, what are the types of projectiles he would be
Yeah.
able to block, right? Because,
Yeah.
for example, a missile is completely different from a laser, right?
Yeah, like
Yes.
I do think we see. I know there are lasers in Skylanders.
Oh, absolutely. There's lasers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a question in chat. I'd love to hear an argument for this one. Does Cortex even have a counter against Specter, just mind controlling him?
That was one of my questions, actually, is like
Uh.
mind control resistance, like for both of them, actually.
Mind control and suddenly getting turned into a monkey.
Well, that one I've been keeping in my brain.
Yeah.
Monkey.
For the
Monkey.
in the research that I did, not that I could see.
Okay.
Specifically for the mind controlling thing, the mind controlling thing is kind of weird because we see when Cortex drinks Embryo's serum to become a mutant, we can see, because he's basically a Titan now, and we can this is such a bad name for this game mechanic in those games. We can jack Cortex, but specifically only when he is in Titan form.
Okay.
Well, and with the power of Aku Aku.
Yeah, with the power of Aku Aku.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that
Okay.
I didn't know that they ripped off Mega Man Battle Network.
So
Specter has no mojo. He got stolen by Dr. Evil back in the 60s.
like another thing Uka Uka can do is he can possess just inanimate objects, because we've seen him possess ice, wood.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
would he be able to possess like one of the mechs Spectre has?
Probably.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll buy that, Rand.
Right.
That has the mood of it's like, thank you for the new argument. I will now use this.
Alfie just made a good point. I was prepared to argue this one. Cortex's gun does have a transmuting section in Crash 4. Yes, it
Yeah.
can turn enemies into a solid block and then a bouncy platform. My quote-unquote argument for that is just he's got to hit Specter with it, which depends
Yeah.
on being faster and Specter's force fields. Cortex has to get past the force fields, the monkey army, and the faster than Specter to land a hit with that, which goes for pretty much almost all of his weapons.
Yeah.
So it's possible, but I'm genuinely not so sure he could pull that off.
I do think it's a win con, but you know, if he can even hit Spectre is really the argument, right?
Yeah, I think they both have a lot of win cons, honestly, just
Yeah.
from the power of their weapons. It's about who would go for the best win cons first. And
Yeah.
who would-
So, quick
Yeah.
question, since I know this got brought up for both, but they both have shields, varying types of them do. So, is it a case of like in the games they have to have their shields overpowered, or is it just the video game thing of, and then they do this one action and their shield goes down a little bit, kick them in the face?
For Spectre, it's both.
For Cortex, it's also both.
Well, this doesn't help at all.
Okay.
The shields will go down to attack, and in Spectre's case, just sometimes you just got to wait for it to finally go down, or for him to get low enough for you to hit him, because he uses his hover chair so much. But they can be overpowered if you're strong enough, like how Spike is. I don't think Cortex is physically strong enough to break through his shields.
Gotcha.
Did you have any other major arguments, Rand? Because I'm honestly ready for final arguments.
Let me go through the small amount of images I have. No, not really.
Okay, so then final arguments then. You guys both ready for that?
One very last thing.
Oh,
IQ.
sure, go right ahead.
I think Spectre takes this because he fights with much smarter opponents. He has not literally gotten betrayed by the people he works with on a daily basis, and he fights a much smarter person than a brain-dead Bandicoot.
Fair.
So I think battle IQ goes to Spectre.
I
Doesn't
think
Spectre
Cortex-
also just routinely throws a hissy fit whenever he gets it, whenever he goes into?
But
That's his
hasn't Cortex went against Entropy, who
Yeah.
isn't, an idiot?
Yeah.
He did, but that was with the help of Crash, Coco, Dingo, Dial,
True.
and Time.
True.
That was not on his own. He wasn't even in that boss fight.
True.
Yeah. Regarding Spectre throwing a hissy fit, his personality overall is extremely arrogant and self-centered, and he believes no one can defeat him until he finally gets defeated. So the closer he comes to losing, the more frantic he gets.
Gotcha.
Okay, now my last thing, which is I will just have this be a joking thing, but if this is ever a fight, we will agree that for rule of funny, they both were part of the same circus, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I will say that my arguments, Cortex has had his intelligence a lot longer than Spectre has, and he has created devices that can BFR his opponent.
This. Crash Bandicoot PS1 release date 1996.
I'm talking about in terms of age. Like, in terms of
I
age.
know. I cannot resist.
I know. I think Cortex has like multiple ways that he could BFR.
Okay.
Spectre, as well as hit him with the blockification, jellification. I didn't even get into the fact that Cortex can just launch his fucking head at Spectre,
That is
Yeah.
which is one of the funniest things. Like, it's not even a jetpack or jet boost or anything. He can just propel himself like a human missile.
My first thought was you were just gonna say that the ending of this should just be Invincible vs. Conquest.
Cortex has
that's
Uka
good.
Uka that can just casually move the sun and the moon. And also the fact it's Bandicoot month.
Gotcha.
For another day.
Listen, we celebrate those with birthday. We celebrate with all those days, man.
Hey, if Catechus can do Bandicoot month like 2 months after, it's fine.
Yeah. Okay. My final
Oh,
argument is.
I also forgot.
go ahead.
Well, of course, Cortex has like teleporters. He can teleport long distances. He also has a device that allows him to transport himself through other dimensions.
He has a device, or he used the time mask for that device.
No. I believe in that video with drunk power scaling, it is mentioned that he has a handheld device that can allow him to transport himself through other dimensions.
I see.
All right.
All right then. I'll go. Yep. Poll is up. I will go into my final arguments then. Spectre has the stat trinity. He has stronger performances of strength, including much larger with his mechs. He's tanked far more hits than Cortex and much more powerful hits. He is much more capable in a fight against far smarter opponents. If Cortex gets Uka Uka, I see no reason he shouldn't get the monkeys, of which he has at minimum 300 of to use, and who can attack on their own, pilot his mechs for him. He has multiple ways to destroy Cortex in a single hit, especially with stuff like the Shrinking Ray, and Cortex has no resistance to the Monkey Transformation Satellite Ray that infected the entire planet, or Hypnotism. Even with Uka Uka involved, I think Spectre can outsmart him, resist his hits with his telekinesis and force fields, confuse the Make Another Inator with his own clones, and just overall overwhelm Cortex to the point of defeat.
Oh, I just realized looking at the list of what Cortex has. He has a device that's mentioned in the flashback tapes of Crash 4 called
Rand, we did reach our final arguments.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's Spectre versus Cortex, I think Spectre wins medium easy difficulty. If it's Cortex and Uka Uka, he wins medium to high difficulty.
Okay. And what is your final argument, Rand?
He has. So in the Crash 4 flashback tapes, he has whenever Crash dies, Cortex says, embryo, bring out the Revivatron, which can revive people after they die.
Funny how he never used that after 1996.
Yeah.
True.
Well,
I
then
don't know,
Cortex has never. Well, then Cortex himself, in the canonicity of the games, has never died.
He's just been put into situations where death probably seems preferable.
But also,
Yeah.
like, if he's dead, how is he going to use that machine to revive himself?
Uka Uka.
Outside help, go! Uka Uka isn't going to revive him. Uka Uka hates him.
I was about to say, like, to be honest, in an army fight, I barely think that Uka Uka can qualify.
Yeah, no.
Uka Uka doesn't even have arms. He can't use it.
Yeah.
Imagine just Tonka, just like, joke's on you. I'm not even the most powerful person here. Cuts Uka Uka to mech. What do you expect me to do? I don't have arms.
All right, then. Mojo, your thoughts?
So, from what I'm hearing, I think if we're being nice to Cortex, I think we can kind of make him just a little bit slower than Spectre, because there are those arguments that, at least reaction speed arguments, that he's faster than light and such. And, you know, the one clip you mentioned where it was going quite fast in space, one of the Game Boy Advance games, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, that could be maybe getting close to Spectre's level. So if we're giving him benefit of the doubt there, you know, they can be kind of close on speed. But the thing is, Spectre is just way smarter, because Cortex isn't like a complete idiot. He knows what he's doing. He's very smart. But I believe in the first Ape Escape game with Spectre, literally his first time he gets like his intelligence, he already outsmarts the main scientist guy. I can't remember his name, and he's insanely smart as well. And Cortex is very good with when it's not in combat, I feel, but in combat he's not as smart. And I find that they both have win cons. You know, they both have battlefield removal, so that evens out. They both have transmute. They can both transmute each other. They both have shields. And I think if you want to give them their armies, I think Specter also wins there because I think even just 300 monkeys all just piling at you is gonna just overwhelm him because he's used to fighting what, Liz? Like one guy, like Crash, all the
Yep.
time, most of the time,
At
right?
maximum.
Just one person. Yeah, maximum one person, maybe a couple more if you want to include the others. But if he's getting swarmed by 300 monkeys who, yeah, sure, they aren't as like powerful as Spectre, but they also get the same. Some of them get the same scaling as Spectre for light speed, right? So even with armies, I think Spectre even takes it. And Cortex doesn't really have a way to stop mind control, which is kind of a main win con for Spectre because that's kind of his whole thing. But also, even with Uka Uka isn't a smart guy. he isn't. He's not. He's pretty average, but he's very straightforward in his thinking. And he's like, let's just destroy all these guys. But he's not thinking of what Spectre could do in response to that, being like, oh, you're gonna try this. Well, I got this whole thing that's just gonna completely mess with you. Like, oh, I'm gonna shrink ray you, right? And that just seems how it's going. Is that even though Cortex does have win cons like transmutating a Spectre with his ray gun, Spectre just has a lot better experience against intelligent opponents, and also has just as many win cons. I feel so. I'm leaning towards Spectre on this one.
Thank you very much. Riddles?
Sorry, Rand.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a very interesting thing going out on through because I feel like at the end of because it's very much the mood of it's like, okay, but for some of these win cards to go off, the shield has to go down. How do you deal with the shield? Video game
Yeah.
logic.
Yeah.
I know, but it's like
Like we said, though, it does work both ways for them. And if we equalize it and said both of them would have to destroy the other shield, then go off of that. I recommend.
yeah, that is fair. So I think with what I've been going is that it's kind of a thing though, but it's like but it is the mood of it's like, okay, so the speed feat's coming from this mini game, and this other speed feat's coming from like Crash Purple. A wonderful combination.
Yeah.
So
Again, minigame is consistent with the UFOs in the main games. It is
Yeah.
consistent with main game feats. I did double
yes,
check.
but unless if I find out the lore of why they were fighting the pig balloons, I just can't take it at 100%. Please understand, Paul. No, being on through it is like speed. I mean, it's complicated, which inevitably happens when you have to deal with ships. But still, it is like it's a big old convoluted mess that I think I think the best way to kind of go on through is that relatively Cortex is the brute force, Spectre is the more finesse.
Yeah.
And between it, I do just kind of think with how it is that that I'm leaning more towards Cortex than I am Spectre.
Okay.
Just a bit too much of a cockroach, I'd say has some
Fair.
things that are a bit too absurd. Like, I remember brought up like the shrink ray comparison. It's like they both get hit with the shrink ray. Cortex becomes a bug. Spectre and the millions of monkeys watching in horror, as that just makes him comparatively a kaiju compared to them.
Yeah, fair enough. All right.
Yeah, and it's like I could conceivably be both winning, but it is just my head with how it's going. Just like I think I have to lean Cortex.
Thank you.
Do we want to ask Molek in the chat his vote because he was supposed to jury, or just go?
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
Molek, do you want to comment who you think wins in the chat, and we'll read it off. And then Croat, I'm just curious, who do you think wins?
Dog, I don't know.
Thanks for the backup. Okay, fair enough. I can't tell if Molek is still here or not in the chat, and if he isn't, then we can just end the poll now and see.
Yeah, I forgot to mention like their personalities, but I don't think it really matters a whole lot in this one.
Oh, you guys care, lol, says Malak. Yeah, we do care, because we like you and we wanted to hear it.
Yeah.
Well,
Wish I could see what Molak was saying, but the
I'll be
the pearl
honest.
is in the
I'm reading
way.
it off. I'm reading it off. Well, I'll be honest. I have my finger on the make everyone a monkey button right now, by the way. I borrowed a Specter for this. I am leaning Cortex because of Uka Uka. Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
So that's Riddle's Cortex, Molak Cortex, and Mojo Specter.
Yes.
All right, then you can end the poll and we'll see.
Oh, Cortex!
Fun.
Let's go, my first win! Let's go, boys!
Nice, Rand.
I'm 0-4.
Oof.
Don't worry. Eventually, you'll find a matchup that.
You
that
bunch of
that I'm
apes.
going
Hey,
to.
hey, Paul, don't worry. We have Zim versus Crypto at some point.
You're voting. You're arguing for crypto. I'm locking in that one losing.
Listen, Paul, just
I'm not-
sometimes you need
so-
to learn the power of the Liamism.
Yeah, I picked
Why?
Crypto because I like the 1960s. Paul should have bribed.
I
Yeah.
literally set my fingers on the monkey button right now.
Good, do it. Monkey is better.
I feel like the ending to Planet of the Apes, the musical.
There's a musical to Planet of the Apes.
I did.
The Dr. Sayus from The Simpsons.
Oh yeah,
Ah.
banger.
Yeah, no,
Well,
and I-
that's that. That was damn good. That was a really fun time anyway.
Yeah.
yeah,
that
no,
was a
it was
tag.
fun. If anything, nope, I do think. About to say, this is a fun match. I'd about to say,
Yeah.
still going through. Like, I made that stalking remark of like, see, but no, I do enjoy. About to say, I do enjoy this kind of mood of the vibe, and it is like,
Yeah.
and about to and
Funny.
the contrast of like, here's the Sony guy who's about to say who just misused animals to make this thing, and then here's
Like-
the animal that just that became a fucking
misused.
world threat.
The
Funny how
Funny thing-
funny how Uka Uka is saving Cortex's butt, much like in the games.
Yeah,
Yes,
basically.
like, can I just say that both of these franchises got fucked over by the people that own them.
Oh,
Yeah.
extremely.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
The last Ape Escape game we got was a collection, and the collections were dog shit.
I was
Yeah,
gonna bring
it's a
up if Paul was gonna bring up like release date shenanigans. It's like, man, this
Oh,
is
no,
what
that
you
was-
counteract
no,
by saying that Ape Escape hasn't moved forward in over a decade.
Well, now there's Crash at this point as time goes on.
Yeah, like the last game we got
So
was
he
the last
has,
game we got-
we're going to end up in another decade. And he went
Yeah.
a decade comatose, let's be fair, after the Titans games.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ape Escape count 99, Crash was 96. So Cortex is in chronologically 3 years older.
And like and one of the crazy thing is about like Crash had a game which is Crash Team Rumble, but it was kind of not what people wanted.
It was a
it was
MOBA,
just-
wasn't it?
No, it was-
yeah, MOAB.
Like a
Not
mobile,
team
it was-
party game
Yeah.
type deal.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a battle
And, like,
royale game.
because
It
of
wasn't a bad idea, but
because of the merger with Activision and Microsoft, most of the content that they had planned for the game, like future seasons with were canceled. We were going to have Ghost from Call of Duty as a playable character in that game.
gee, it's almost like characters with cuddly platforming creatures shouldn't have their franchises and studios merge with Microsoft. Isn't that right, Banjo-Kazooie and Conquer?
I mean, listen, I mean, the writing on that wall with that one was.
How do you think
I-
I feel? Spyro's in the same exact spot, bro.
We were supposed to get a Crash Spyro game, remember?
I know.
Yeah,
I would have
like,
bought that like pre-order day one.
same. And
Same.
like now Activision, Blizzard, and Microsoft be like, just use AI for everything.
Ugh.
It's so
What a
frustrating.
wonderful mood to end this video on, huh?
But
No.
I do really like this matchup. I think.
Yeah, I think this was a very fun time. And for those of you who do like Specter in general, I'll remind you that Mojo Jojo versus Specter is also pitched, and I am signed on for that one as well. So someday we will do that cast to bring him back on.
Yeah.
All I'll leave this off on is one. I hope you guys all like the rap. That was a ridiculous little idea I got to try.
Yeah.
And I do want to do it for further future casts. I think it'd be fun too. But what I'll leave off on is I'll just make it this note as we wrap up. Considering all of the animals that Neocortex and Specter have experimented on over the years, all of those poor defenseless creatures they've manipulated and used for their own dirty schemes, they should get a job at PETA.
God dang.
They'd probably be Employee of the Month.
God
Y'all have a good day. Thanks for watching, and remember to enjoy Monkey.
damn.
Yep.
Enjoy
Monkey.
monkey.
Enjoy monkey.
Yeah.